Hello, everyone. Today, I am very excited to get back to working on Beauty and the Beast. Now, this is our West Wing, and I have a lot going on today. I don't really know what room we're going to work on. I've just got a bunch of little props and accessories that I want to show. I am so excited about it. And then this is the side with the stained glass window, and I have got things for this. I've just got stuff to do all of it, and I don't know what I want to work on really, so I'm going to do a little bit of everything today. Like we've got this picture that's going to hang over in the West Wing, and I said I didn't know if I wanted that in there or not, but we're going to go ahead and frame this painting of the prince and see if we like it hanging in there or not. But we'll see. And then this side, I've got some rose bushes. I'll show those here in a minute. And anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and move this out of the way so we can check out all these little things that I've got to work with today, and I'll explain what each of them are for. Okay, so to start with, like I said, we've got this painting of Prince Adam, and I held this up in there, and I think it actually looks better than I thought it was going to look. So, again, we'll just hang it up, but fix it to where we can take it out if we don't like it, because I was wanting the bell with the rose to be the focal point. And I found a little glass bell, like a dome, that is going to be the perfect thing to put the rose under, and I have misplaced it. Go figure. God only knows where that's at. I mean, I lose anything little, I lose it. I mean, if it ain't glued down, it's gone. Um, so uh, for that, we'll get to that later. We'll get to the bell whenever I find that bell. But for Gaston, he's going to, of course, have a lot of taxidermy on his wall. And I have mixed feelings about taxidermy, but I have been collecting these little animals who are unfortunately going to have to be, used for that. Now, one thing we've got is we have this fur, and I'm going to make a bear skin rug out of this little piece of fur, and we're going to use his little head, this little bear's head, to be the head of the bearskin rug. So I'll do that with that. I think it's going to look really cute. Um, and then we've got these deer heads. These actually hang on, I think you put a shot glass in this. It's got this little clip on it, and you hook this to your glass, and then you put an extra little shot glass down in here. So that's what that is. This is actually a alcohol brand. Um, but anyway, I thought it looked more like a little taxidermy. It's the perfect scale for Gaston's little tavern. And the rest of these, I was looking at the picture of his tavern, and I was trying to pick animals that he actually had on his wall. I know he's got a deer, he's got a wolf, and he's even got an eagle, which I don't think I'm going to put an eagle on the wall. I didn't find one, so I've got plenty of stuff here to use. He even has a little rabbit's head hanging on his wall, so this sweet little thing's going to get its little head hung on the wall. We have a badger. We got a bunch of antlers that I have just found. I had a little deer figurine that broke, and I was getting ready to throw that away, and then I noticed those antlers would be perfect, so I went ahead and kept the antlers to that. It was not able to be glued back or fixed, so at least part of it gets to be recycled. And then I've even got this box here that's got some animals in it. So we've got a lot to work with. There's going to be quite a few animals on his wall, but we don't have to use all of this. Um, and then some of these little babies are going to also be used in this project. My niece had given these to me. She's got these hidden all through the house, and I keep finding them. My friend gave me some stuff, some little miniature stuff, and it had these little logs in there, and that's going to be perfect for Gaston's fireplace when I get to that. I've got this fancy little gold mirror that I thought would be cute. It just looks like something that would probably hang in the castle, maybe. And then the rose bushes, I'm going to actually make them myself. I've got this green stuff here that will be the leafy part. And then I found these dried flowers, and these little red flowers here will be the perfect little rose to climb up the wall around the stained glass window. And then I got this little pad of paper that just makes me think of Beauty and the Beast. I mean, the colors and the style. And it says, Beauty is being in harmony with what you are. I'm very happy with what I am and who I am. But this was just a cute little pad of paper, that I just thought looked very Beauty and the Beast-ish. So I'm just going to have that to the side over there. Don't really have anything to do with the project other than it looks Beauty and the Beast like. But there's a lot to start today. I was kind of wanting to do the rose bushes, and then I thought, nah. I think the most fun thing will be to fix the taxidermy animals. So I'm going to actually start with all these. And even though we're not ready to hang them up, we're going to at least get them ready to hang up for when that time comes. So I'm going to take these cute little animals and do the dirty work off screen, and then I'll be back and we'll see, what we can do to make them look like wall decorations. All right, so here they are. Did all that off camera. And then to clear something up, I kind of made it sound like the babies were going to be part of the taxidermy. I don't know if anybody took it that way or not. The babies are not going to be taxidermy. The babies are going to be used in another part of the project. So I just wanted to clear that up, because when I played that part back, I thought, wait, did he just say the babies are going to be hanging on the wall? It's like, no, they're not. They're definitely not. But if you want to see the types of animals, the brand, these are two different brands. I guess that's the maker there. They were pretty easy to cut. Some of these were hollow. Some of them were a solid vinyl or rubber or whatever. But here is the picture of what his tavern looks like. Now, of course, we've got some antlers that you see up here. We've got something that looks like a bear, which we're going to use the bear head for the rug. The rabbit, let's see. There's the eagle. I hope that shows up clear enough, but right there is the eagle head. Down here is the little rabbit head. And of course, there's the tiny little rabbit head. So I've tried to pick animals that looked like what he had. I thought one of them looked like a raccoon or a badger. So I've got me a badger. But anyway, there they are. I just got to make some little wood frames, or not a frame, but like a mount to mount them on. Here he is. He's got quite a few antlers around his portrait that is hanging above the fireplace. There you can see the bear rug, and then we're going to have to at some point make the chair. And of course, the portrait hanging above the fireplace. Of course, everybody by now should know that I like to dress up in costumes, and of course, I have dressed up as Gaston. So here is my take on the Gaston portrait. I made a small copy that would be the size that I need for the project. So I'm going to cut this out, and this is going to actually be the portrait that we hang above the fireplace. So that I just think that's cool, that that's actually me. I always like, again, to sneak in little Easter eggs. So maybe in like 100 years, if this little project is still standing, some people will look at that and think, I wonder who that guy is in the picture. Of course, it's Gaston, though, of course. But anyway, this is kind of the look we're going for. So I'm going to sit here using my foam board and cut out just some basic little shapes. It looks like what these heads are mounted on. Pretty basic, and just paint them brown and then glue the heads to it. Now this little guy, I didn't cut his head off. And when I was cutting these heads off, I felt like Sid from Toy Story. I just felt the second animal I started cutting on was the bear, and I took a minute. I thought, what am I doing? It's like, it did kind of feel weird, I got to admit. But this little guy, I didn't cut him up because he's just so cute. I just probably won't use him in this project, but I just thought it was different with his little feet up on the rock like that. Kind of looks like what Gaston is doing back there. But I think this will be plenty. And then this little guy here, I was wanting to use his horns on like above the picture or something, but then I decided no, I'm going to glue these back on and go ahead and use him in on the wall, because if you look, let me grab the picture back. There's actually a ram right here with these curled horns just like this. So I thought I better use him on the wall. And I can use horns off somebody else later for up here on the picture. So anyways, let me go ahead and get these little things cut out, and then I'll glue them to it. And then I'm going to paint up a couple of these to look a little bit more real. I don't really like those red eyes. So this is what I've come up with. I've just cut out these basic little shapes from foam board. I'm just going to paint them brown and then glue the animals to it. And then for my Gaston portrait, I've just cut out a really basic little frame that is going to get decorated later. Let me grab the picture. Now see, the frame around his almost looks like bamboo. I really doubt that it's bamboo, but it does kind of look like bamboo. But my frame is going to be different from what you see here. And then of course he's got all these antlers and horns around it and some feathers. But the decorating will come later when I get some of the materials to do that. But for now, it's just going to have a basic little brown frame. So I'm going to paint that, and I'm going to paint all these real quick. All right, so here's how I do that. I kind of stick them on the end of my little blade so that I can get them painted the way I want them. And then I can just stand them in something as they dry. Because I went on the sides and the front and even a little bit on the back. But I used Mod Podge and paint because that little foam board, of course, has paper on both sides, and sometimes in time that paper will want to give and come away from the foam board. So I just put the Mod Podge on there as an extra little protection, hoping it will last longer. I've got my little frame. Well, kind of stuck to the paper there, but I got my frame painted. Now I'm going to glue my picture, wherever that's at, to a piece of this little cardstock or something to give it a back. Or it's not even cardstock, it's just like a chipboard or some sort of little thin cardboard. But I'm going to glue it on there and leave a little border around it so that I can just glue the frame kind of right there like this. And then that'll be good. And then later there's going to be decorations on there. So I'm trying to think as I'm doing it. So anyways, I'm going to get that done. And then for the little bear rug, I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, but I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm going to do. All right, so I want to make sure that the fur is going the direction I want it, because, you know, it lays just like real fur. So you want to make sure your fur is laying the way you want it. Now I want the head of it to be up here, but there's a stitch in it right here, so I'm going to cut that stitch off real quick. And I'm not that familiar with a bear skin rug, so I'm assuming that the bear is just kind of flattened out. I mean, I could look at pictures. I mean, I kind of know what they look like. But okay, so usually their arms, they're just kind of spread out like they were laying on their little bellies. So I'm basically going to lay the head where I want it up here, and then just kind of draw that out, which I'm sitting here with this camera in front of my face, looking through my camera. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of this. I'm going to do this a little better, but I'm going to just roughly get it drawn out. So we're just going to pretend, I think it needs to be a little bit wider. Bulk up those arms a little. So you're just going to basically draw it out and then cut it. And I'm not sure. How do the legs look? Do the legs stick out like this? That looks about right, I think. That looks pretty good. That might be too small. I'm going to make it bigger. I'd rather it be too big than too small. I can always uh, cut more off if I need more off of it. Um, but that looks pretty good. So I'm basically going to cut that design out. And then that's going to be the little bear rug. And then I'm going to paint his head a little more brown because this is brown. This is a black bear. So we're going to paint him up a little bit. Okay, so here's where I am. I've got the head painted to match the fur a little bit better, and I think he looks pretty good, other than I want one little tiny detail, and I have taken these little toothpicks and I've painted the end of them black, and then I'm going to snip those little pointy parts off, and I'm going to glue them. Let me see if I can get one cut. Alright, I'm going to glue those in to make like some little claws on the bear. So I don't know if that shows up, but I'll show that better later. But I'm going to sit here and cut those and then get them glued in, and then we'll check him out and we'll check out the other taxidermy. Alright, so here we are. I think this is actually all I'm going to get done today, just because I never did find that glass dome, and that don't really need to be done today anyway, because I don't even have the table built that's going to sit on. And then I can't do those rose bushes either, because there's still a lot to do to that outside wall before I really need to get to the rose bush. Now, like I said, this little guy stayed the same. I think he looks really cool. He may stand inside next to the fireplace or something. He didn't have like a full body taxidermy standing in his tavern, but we didn't see the whole tavern. So who says there wasn't? So we'll stick him in there probably at some point. Now here's these extra antlers. Here's how the little badger looks. These look so freaking cute. If you're into taxidermy or not, you gotta admit, these have turned out really, really well. And then some of these I had to go in and kind of touch up the paint a little bit. And then I used spray Mod Podge to go over these. And I cannot wait to get them hung up. And then, of course, here is the before and after of how this one turned out. I painted that one to look, of course, like a real deer. This extra one here, I don't want two of the same thing, so I would use him later in another project if it ever comes to needing more deer heads. But then here's the wolf, and I think that's a hyena, but it'll work. And then here's the little ram. He's pretty cute. And then the tiny little bunny, he's pretty sweet. That is so cute. And then, of course, I got the frame put around my picture. And then my favorite thing today, I think, is the bearskin rug. As you can see, I mean, even from there, you can see the little claws sticking out there. And let me try to get my light a little bit closer. Right where I glued the fur to the plastic head, I did go with some glue, and I kind of tried to flock it a little with some chopped up fur, just to where it would have a smoother blend between the plastic head and that fur body, because it just looked like a fur body glued to a head, but blending that with that little bit of flocking really helped it look a little bit better. So there's his little bear rug. That's going to look super cute. I cannot wait to get all this done. And even though we don't have the room done, I'm still going to kind of sit this inside so we can see how that looks. So here is Gaston's tavern, and it looks like someone has just blankety blanked all over them walls, and that is actually some of that Mod Podge, where I didn't want to waste it, so I just smeared it on the walls, because later I'm going to go over the whole wall and texture those anyway, so I just thought just smear it up there. There's the painting that will hang above the fireplace. There's his little logs, and what is so crazy is look how perfect those fit in the fireplace. And then, of course, there's the little bearskin rug, and that will get the chair sitting on that at some point. So there's that. And then, of course, I can't hold all these up in place, but these will be going up on the wall in here. And I kind of like that I've got 8 different animals, because I can put 4 on this side and 4 on that side, and it'll be kind of balanced out. So there's all that. There's little Gaston. And this little guy, I think I will put him in here. And then later on, I'm going to put some little barrels and stuff sitting around the floor. So I am so excited to get to work on this room. I think next time we will get the walls done, and hopefully the fireplace and the chimney. And then it'll be done pretty quick, because there's not really a lot to do other than doing the walls. But anyways, I hope y'all have enjoyed this little video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can keep up with this project and all the others that I've been working on. And thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.